alone a V-shaped recovery. So one argument is this is because of the nature of the crisis, a lot of debt taken on, debt overhangs on corporations, on households, make it very hard for them to borrow. And of course, most recently, governments have taken on debt, partly shifting debt from the corporations and households to their own balance sheets, and governments are also reaching the limits of their debt. So one argument is it's debt, and we need the deleveraging, and deleveraging is taking more time, and therefore one shouldn't be too impatient. Of course, we did try to stimulate economies. The 2008 summit and subsequent summits were well known for the G20 urging countries to spend if they could. And a number of countries took up the challenge of spending, and there were massive fiscal stimulus packages, including in our own country, where we had 3 sequential stimulus packages. These haven't done the trick. They haven't quite restored growth, including in our own country. There are arguments resurfacing today that the specifics of stimulus matter. We should build infrastructure, and infrastructure is long-lasting, high returns, especially in times when construction material and construction costs are low because industry is underemployed. So let's build infrastructure. This was the mantra in industrial countries. However, infrastructure investment took off only in a few countries, and where it has taken off, it hasn't had much positive effect. Japan, for example, massive infrastructure investments over the last couple of decades, but it still is not out of the woods. And part of the problem is, in many industrial countries, finding worthwhile infrastructure to build is hard. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure already out there. Yes, everybody can see the potholes outside the window which needs fixing. Everybody can see a bridge or two that needs fixing. But beyond that, the large infrastructure projects that will really move the needle on growth are both harder to find, harder to coordinate on, and harder to execute. And I think that the difficulties in implementation of infrastructure in industrial countries aren't realized enough. In our own country, of course, we have massive infrastructure needs, and we're trying to go about them. But infrastructure in industrial countries is more difficult. So as people have found that stimulus, whether monetary or fiscal, doesn't seem to be restoring growth, and even deleveraging, there's been a fair amount of deleveraging in the United States, some in Europe. Even deleveraging doesn't seem to have restored growth. They turn to the next possible reason why it hasn't happened, and that's because structurally there were problems in the industrial countries which limited growth, and we need to fix those structural problems, right? Now,
તો વૈશ્વિક અર્થતંત્રમાં ગ્રોથ કેમ નથી પાછી જોવા મળી રહી? આ પ્રશ્ન ઉપર અત્યારે આપણે ચર્ચા સાંભળી રહ્યા હતા આરબીઆઈ ગવર્નર રઘુરામ રાજન સાહેબની. એમની જો કોઈ ખાસ રેકમેન્ડેશન્સ નીકળીને આવે છે તો એની ઉપર આપણે ફરીથી નજર કરીશું. પણ અત્યારે એકવાર આપણે માર્કેટ જોઈએ. થોડુંક દબાણ જોવા મળી